Guys, what is up? My name is PandaMaster, and welcome to my spoiler-free review of the first 3 episodes of Made for Love. Yeah, this is the first 3 episodes, and I do this because they all came out yesterday. Like, I think the release schedule for this show is really interesting. So let me before I get into this, say off the bat, this is my favorite show on television right now. Period. I'm obsessed with it. I think it is fantastic. I am so excited for next Thursday to watch the next 3 episodes. Just absolutely nuts. But I love this show, and I'll get into the specifics here in a minute. But yeah, they released the first 3 episodes yesterday, and then next Thursday they're gonna release the next 3 episodes, and then they're releasing episodes 7 and 8 the next Thursday. And that's all we know about so far. The Warner Media gave it a 10-episode green light, so I would imagine it'll be episodes 7 and 8 on the 15th, and then the next week we'll get the last 2. I guess maybe I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. HBO Max, because this is an HBO Max original series, so it is exclusively on HBO Max. It's really good, but yeah, I don't know if they're just experimenting with, the HBO Max programming format. I don't know, but it's definitely interesting. The episodes are 30 minutes long. I honestly didn't even realize that. I just assumed they would be 45 minutes or an hour, but they were 30 minutes, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And yeah, I'm obsessed with this show. And so before I forget, what I want to highlight, and I will probably come back to it later, episode 3, I want this thing out of my head. There are multiple moments in the episode that I was just sitting there stunned by what I was watching. Like, so first off, this has a stunning cast. Kristen Melody, whom you might know from Black Mirror, in which this show is very inspired by, for sure. And How I Met Your Mother, and what was the other one? I know there was one that I'm thinking of, but I cannot remember. Palm Springs, there we go. From Palm Springs. And it also has Billy Magnuson. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I know him best from Game Night. But he was also in Aladdin, and he is in the new Bond movie, actually. But I really liked him in Game Night. But he stars as Byron Gogol, who is essentially this tech billionaire. But the real star of the show is Kristen's character, Hazel, his wife, who escapes a suffocating 10-year marriage. So let me read the premise for you guys, in case you don't know, because I had never heard of the show before I started watching it. A woman escapes from a suffocating 10-year marriage to a tech billionaire, but discovers her husband had her fitted with a high-tech tracking device. This monitoring device, which he implanted in her brain, allows him to track her location, watch her live, and know her emotional data as she tries to regain her independence. Yeah. So like I said, very inspired by Black Mirror. And also, the company is called Gogol and has a logo that is all but a carbon copy of the Google logo. So interesting there. Interesting. Definitely not hiding their criticisms of Google in here. But essentially, it's like a near future where, technology is just continuing to get more and more advanced, and while the real world decays, the virtual world just gets stronger and stronger, all that sort of thing. But yeah, stellar cast. But there is a conversation, and like I said, I'm keeping the spoiler free, where Byron and Hazel just absolutely deliver some of the best performances I've seen on TV in quite some time. Byron is a sadistic, possessive, I guess, man-child, really. Like, it's very interesting, and it reminds me, if anybody watching has seen The Invisible Man, the new version with Elizabeth Moss, it very much reminded me of that dynamic, where it's just, well, and honestly, this is not a new thing. Like, this is very typical of a domestic relationship, a toxic domestic relationship, where essentially the husband will just gaslight the wife, and the wife will be living under terrible conditions, and yet the husband will just simply gaslight them and turn it back on them to make them feel as if, how dare they? And that's essentially what this relationship is. And seeing that, there was such a powerful scene in episode 3 that just completely shook me to my core. And then there was a whole nother one involving Hazel and this local that I'll stay, again, trying to stay out of spoiler terms. There was just this interaction between those two. If you've seen it, you probably know which one I'm talking about. Maybe. I haven't given a lot of context, but just absolutely crazy scenarios that are just blowing my mind. But I know I'm talking about episode 3 specifically, but the first 2 are also good as well. For one, Ray Romano's in this. He plays Hazel's dad, and that's pretty interesting. His character is interesting because he's very much a flawed character, but like deep down he's a good guy. Like he's not like he's it's interesting. I'm taking a class right now on American women's literature in the 20th century, and there was this one character in this book that we read that is very much like Hazel's father, in that he really wants to be the best dad that he can be, but he's just not. Like, it's not for lack of trying, it's more so for lack of, I don't know if it's skill or, I don't know. I'm definitely not wording this as well as I thought I was going into it. But where it's like they're not necessarily a bad person, but they've done stupid, bad things, and they, aren't the best person, but they're not a bad person. They're not, this terrible father, but they've done stupid things, if that makes sense. But yeah, Ray Romano, just given a really good performance here. It's been interesting to see his roles lately. Like, if anybody saw, what's the one movie with Kumail and Johnny? I'm obsessed with it, which makes me mad that I can't remember what it's called. The Big Sick. He gave a really good performance in The Big Sick too. So it's really cool to see Ray Romano really branching out in his acting career lately. I think it's really awesome, and I think he's just, anything he really interacts with has been really good lately. But just going through, absolutely stellar cast, and just the plot. So if you don't know, I actually just found this out, like literally right before I started filming this, that it's based off of a novel that came out in 2017 and got pretty like mostly positive reviews. Essentially, they were like, the ideas are never more interesting than in their first iterations, because this kind of topic has kind of been glanced on before. It's kind of like, it's very much like it riffs on technology like Black Mirror, but then it also talks, we have a wave of second wave feminism, which is that what we're considered now? Was that, or are we technically third wave feminism? I don't know. But with all of the very feminist specific media coming out lately, we've gotten a lot of stuff similar. I mean, I just mentioned The Invisible Man, that just came out what was it, about almost a year ago now, I feel, because it came out right at the beginning of COVID, if I remember right. Yeah. So about a year ago, which deals with very similar things, but in different ways. I don't think this is necessarily a carbon copy. Maybe it is of something I just haven't seen, but I think this is original enough to stand on its own. But it's really, 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 really good. And I'm really excited to see how it continues to, diversify itself and, keep itself out. Because, there's some really... I mean, this is a dark comedy in terms of genre. So, emphasis on the dark. There's some dark stuff that some seriously messed up things that happen here. Nothing I don't think it ever crosses the line into traumatizing territory, although I want to mention with Invisible Man, I think Invisible Man was worse in terms of the gaslighting and things like that, but I think those that have been victims of toxic relationships or just anything like that, just gaslighting and that sort of thing, trigger warning, obviously, but personally I didn't feel as someone who has been in a relationship like that before, I wasn't personally triggered by that, but I did have some issues with The Invisible Man at times, just for how much it aggressively would cross that line. Not necessarily in a bad way, but they just, really did not hold back there. And I think that is a strength of the film, but it definitely can make you uncomfortable. I don't think this ever really does that, but it does, go up to that line. And it's just, again, such a powerful performance from the stars, from Billy Magnuson and Kristen Melody. I think their performances are what make this show shine, and I'm just so excited to see where it goes from here. It's got those, like, I really like dark comedies, like The Boys and different stuff like that. It was a genre I hadn't really gotten too much into, but it's like, it's nice. It's a good, because it's like, they're usually political. They usually, it's about basically exploring the reality of where we're at now, I think. It's honestly, like, not necessarily every dark comedy, but I think dark comedies do what a lot of TV shows and movies or whatever kind of shy away from, which is telling it like it is. And that's kind of what Made for Love is all about. It's, it's talking about how, like, technology keeps advancing and people are still, like, there's still some terrible people out there, and a lot of those terrible people have control over said technology and can use it for some really messed up stuff. And I think, the interesting and scary thing about this is how, like, plausible this is. And, when you really think about it, about, how easily this could become a reality. And I think that's what makes Black Mirror so special, and I think that is the charm of this show as well. So I'm obsessed with this show. I can't wait to watch more. Heavily recommend it to anybody. I think you should watch it. Like I said, it's on HBO Max. First 3 episodes are available now. Next Thursday we'll have another 3 episodes. I'm really excited. But let me know you guys' thoughts. Did you watch it? What'd you think? Are you going to watch it? Please do. Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video, subscribe if you want to see more. I'll see you guys next time for whatever it is I'm doing. Alright, see ya.